And good morning. My name is Lucy and I will be for another DevFest Scotland online session. Today we have Oladimeji Suraju and his talk will be about code design, how visual thinking fuels faster development. Thank you so much to our speaker today for sharing all of his knowledge. Really appreciate it. And just another reminder that we are recording the session and it will be posted onto our Google Developer Glasgow group YouTube channel. Okay, so that's my introduction done and it's time for Oladimeji to take the stage.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm very excited to be here. I'm super excited to share some of my insights, and it's a privilege. And I'm highly humbled. Thank you very much. Yeah, so I'll begin today's presentation with a little bit of storytelling. Storytelling is one of the easiest and one
Sorry, Ola, you're muted. Yeah, if you can start again. All right. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Hi, my name is Oladimeji. I am actually very privileged to present this particular topic, which is visual thinking, fueling faster development. I would begin today's presentation with why is it easy for us as humans to remember things that are very visual as opposed to things that are very logical? Is because of the way our brain is being designed. In the human brain, we have the left side, which is the logical side. It's the logical side that everybody uses. Is in charge of calculation, doing a lot of functions as programmers, learning. It's basically for short-term purposes. It's called the short-term memory. The right side, which is the creative side, everyone is born creative. We started learning to play with colors, use our imagination, do a lot of role playing. So that's the right side, which is the creative side. But as time goes on, the workforce learning has become very logical because it is like the acceptable approach towards learning, because it requires a sequential step as opposed to the right side, which is very creative, very imaginative, bold, and confident. The presentation is about visual thinking and how it helps for faster development. Yeah, so what is visual thinking? Visual thinking is the use of imagery, diagrams, analogies, storytelling. In the world of IT, in the world of programming, there's several problems and issues that we are being faced as IT professionals, learning complex topics, debugging, logic, functions. So visual thinking can actually help you become a better programmer. Yes, so visual thinking. There's a fact that says the human brain processes images and patterns faster than text. They say there's a particular quote: "A picture is worth 1,000 words." It's easier for us to remember certain events that happened in our lives, whether it's positive or negative. Everyone has gone through that part. It's easy for you to remember the times you are happy and the times you're sad. And you can actually remember that vividly because of the right brain. The right brain is very emotional. It actually processes images faster using our emotions. I'll just do like a little exercise. If you raise up your right hand and you place it to the left side of your brain, that is the right brain. That's the creative side, the emotional side. Some people call it the feminine side. Then if you place the left hand to the right side, it's opposite analogy here. So that is the left side of the brain that's in charge of logic. This is where the data structure, the algorithms, writing functions, learning, basically. But there's a science to visual thinking and why it's much more effective in terms of learning abstract concepts and trying to get the picture of our project as IT professionals. Now, the science of visual thinking, 90% of information is visual. Images are processed 60,000 faster than text words. It engages multiple brain regions, improves memory and pattern recognition. So there's several benefits of visual thinking. It simplifies complexity. The use of flowcharts diagram helps us break complex systems. Basically, when it comes to planning projects, a lot of IT professionals use flowchart diagrams for planning. It can also be used for learning, learning the core of different languages, programming languages like Java. It's also very important in getting the big picture of the project and as well as using our right brain. It enhances communication. Yes, definitely. When you're talking about stakeholders engagement, people tend to understand visuals more than codes. A lot of people are not technically inclined, but the ability to use visual thinking gets them emotional, gets them to see the big picture. Because when you use visual thinking, it activates the right side. That's the right brain. That's the creative and the emotional brain that a lot of us use. Yes, memory retention. Yeah. So a data schema diagram can be easily remembered than 500 lines of SQL code. Yes, reason is scientifically backed because when you use a lot of visual imagery, whether you're learning or you're trying to explain concepts or you're trying to build projects to try and see the big picture, you tend to activate the right side of your brain, which helps in retaining memory. And it's also called the long-term memory. The long-term memory is the right side. That's the right brain. The short-term memory is used for daily tasks. Basically, we use the left a lot for that, which is the short-term memory. So writing functions, writing syntax, data structure, mathematical functions, it's for the short-term memory. And it requires a lot of revision. That's why people say for you to learn something, you need to learn it a lot of times, called spaced repetition. You need to keep revising all over and all over and all over again till it sticks to the memory. But basically, it goes to the short-term memory. That's the left side. But the ability to use both sides of the brain can make you much more holistic and make you a well-rounded professional in the ever-changing field of technology. So in real-world cases, yes, so visual thinking. So there are several tools that you can actually use to basically use the right side of your brain to improve on your visual thinking. Mind mapping. Mind mapping is seeing the big picture. I see mind mapping as an example of a map of a place, maybe George Square. You go to the George Square, you have different places around George Square. You can see the statue, you can see people seated down, you can see the pubs, you can see the different companies around. That is how the brain, the right brain, likes to see things. The right brain likes to explore different parts of your imaginary world. And as I rightly said, imagination is more powerful than knowledge. So the ability to use tools like mind mapping, flowcharts, wireframing helps us see the holistic overview of the project. So for the flowchart is like a sequential flow of different actions. It could be maybe you're trying to develop a sales software. So you create a flow chart of it, looking at how users sign up, authentication, conditional statements, and how you get the results. So it's like a flow of different steps, but using different colorful aids and shapes helps you see the big picture of whatever projects you're working on, or you're probably learning a skill, a programming language or a technology. So there are visual thinking tools that are available. We have for mind mapping, we have Miro, MindMaster, Mind Mode. For flowcharts, we have Lucy Charts. Oh, flowcharts and diagrams, we have Lucy Charts, Draw.io, Plants, UMI, Mermaid. And those are tools for prototyping. Very popular tool is Figma, Sketch, Adobe XD. Live component previews, Storybook.js. So these are tools that help us in the planning stage to see the big picture of our projects, whether we're developing the next big thing or learning a skill or technology. We can actually plan the processes and involve core users in our product. So there are use cases. Visual thinking is very, very useful. So this is like a particular scenario. There's a debugging scenario, and app API was slow. By mapping the flow, we found redundant calls and optimized sequence. So in programming, in developing projects, debugging is a core and a key workflow. The ability to detect issues. For proper communication between stakeholders, it's very important for us to understand how to use those logical flows, how to create mind mapping. Like this is an example of using visual thinking tool. This is like a mind map. So it shows us the different processes from the API flow debugging scenario, showing the different branches. So it's easy for people or professionals to understand the core processes. Where are the parts that actually have issues and the parts that needs to be worked on? So it's just for us to get the big picture of whatever projects we are working on. This is also an example of a project, an AI sales assistant. So when you're using visual thinking process, we can actually use mind mapping. Mind mapping can help us visualize the core features of our project, like visualize the chatbot capabilities, greeting users, managing sales data, follow-ups. We can actually use tools like MindNode, Miro for mind mapping to see the big picture of our project. And also for database schema, we can actually design a schema because schemas are easier to remember because they're very visual. So we can design a schema for storing the sales data using the different tools like Draw.io, Mermaid.js, and also the user flow diagram. We can actually visualize the user journey with the chatbot from the input to action. So Figma or Lucy Chat. So these are tools that we can actually use and that would help us to get the big picture of our project and to as well use the capabilities of our right brain. So question is how to integrate visual thinking. Visual thinking is very simple. It starts with a simple paper and pen. You could use visual thinking anywhere. You could use it to learn core concepts, something that is very complex. Whether you're learning data structure or you're learning algorithm, and it's very difficult for you to understand, you could actually simplify it by having a simple paper and a pen, probably use analogy. Okay, you could imagine maybe a place or filled with boxes and say that this is the database, or could remember a store. So it's basically using your imagination. The more you use your imagination, that's visual imagery, the more it increases your memory retention, the more you become very creative. So you can see complex things and try and use imagination, or try and draw and sketch your ideas. So it starts with a simple paper and a pen. Use of metaphors. A lot of people do use metaphors, knowingly or unknowingly. Metaphor is the ability to connect two different things and to create meaning. For example, they use metaphors in writing poems. You could say, um, maybe you're writing a poem about a place like Glasgow. See, Glasgow is as cold as ice, and the people are as warm as the sun. So you're relating Glaswegians to the sun because they are friendly. So that's the use of metaphors. So the ability to use metaphors in learning concepts, complex concepts in technology. Let's say Java. You could imagine Java being maybe a warrior in a forest. Try and create a metaphor with Java and something that you know properly or very well. Could be Java and music. How is Java and music related? Or could be Java and football. How is Java and football related? So the ability to keep using metaphor opens your imagination to wider possibilities. But the disclaimer is, when you try to think visually, the logical side is always stopping people from thinking visually, because the logical side will tell you it doesn't make sense. How can you tell me Java is related to music? There are a lot of concepts in Java. There are a lot of frameworks like Spring, this database schema, SQL, cloud technology. How do you say all this knowledge are related to a different field? Well, yes, logically it doesn't make sense, but creatively, visually, it makes a lot of sense, because when you use metaphors, it opens your mind to imagination. So it activates the right side of your brain. So the use of diagrams, very important. Visual concept, planning, mind mapping, communication, using wireframes for debugging. You can use workflow diagrams. And another important aspect of visual thinking is storytelling. Storytelling is one of the most important medium of communication. In Hollywood is a very big industry. I think every day there are new movies that come out every day. There are a lot of actors. Now, storytelling is very engaging because it requires emotions, the use of emotions, visual imagery, a lot of movement. That stimulates the right side, because we can see the characters, we can see the plot, we can see the cinematic movement, the techniques, the different shots, the lightning. It's very, very encompassing when you watch movies, and it's easy for professionals, IT professionals, to remember Titanic, maybe popular movie like Titanic, but it's harder for people to actually remember a code snippet. While it's easy because the right side is the long-term memory, is what sticks with you for a long time. That's why emotionally charged event sticks to our right side, because it requires a lot of, storytelling put together. So engaging your right brain with stories. Tell more stories when you learn things. Tell a story with Java. Try and use your imagination to create a scene for yourself. Could say Java is like a warrior filled with different characters. We have the design pattern, we have data, we have Spring frameworks. So putting all these things together makes learning much more holistic. So you can use your visual thinking. In conclusion, visual thinking simplifies programming. Yes, programming is basically a logical field. There's no doubt. But the ability to use the right side and the left side makes us much more holistic. There's the popular genius called Da Vinci. Da Vinci could learn several things. He was a mathematician, he was a painter, he was an artist, he knew too many things, and he was able to solve complex problems. And one of the reasons why he was able to do that is the ability to use both the left side and the right side of his brain. The left side is good for logical things, for short-term memory. But for the right side, which is the visual thinking side, it can help us collectively as professionals to simplify programming languages, technologies. Is also good for learning things even outside of your career. It also improves communication. It helps people to see the big picture of projects. There are several tools that you can use. Figma, Lucidchart, Storage.js to make things easy. And collectively, the ability to use visual thinking will help us to be smarter, to be very creative, and also help us to remember things faster and to become better developers and as well as IT professionals. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Oladimeji. That was a great presentation. If anybody has got any questions, just pop them in the chat and I'm sure he won't mind giving them an answer. If not, then that's us done for today. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Obviously, thank you to our amazing presenter. And, I think we might have a question. It's just somebody saying, great presentation. Thanks. So, yeah, just have a check on our social media. We will upload more for the next couple of talks and sessions. And thanks again, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you very much.